sure you've heard more times than you can count how good meditation is for you, all the benefits that it has, why you should be doing it, and all that kind of stuff. And all of that is great. But if you still can't figure out how to do it or how to get good at it, none of that really matters. With all of the things that you've heard about it, all the videos you may have watched or tips you may have read, with all of that, how does it still feel like such a foreign concept? How does it still feel like, why can't I figure this out? Why can't I actually feel like I'm good at meditating? Why does it feel like a waste of time? Why do I feel like I'm doing something wrong? All of those questions we're gonna answer today. And you're gonna leave this video feeling confident to start really getting into your meditation game and not just like pretending that you're good at it. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica. I'm a former nurse practitioner turned health and mindset coach, and I teach people how to create their dream life and find true, lasting wellness. If that sounds like something you want, then just keep watching. Today we're going to talk about something very near and dear to my heart and very important for my mind. Meditation. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know, start to finish, beginner friendly, about meditation and how you can apply it to your life and get the most out of it. So for starters, you have to know and be okay with the fact that you're going to be bad at it for some undetermined, unknowable amount of time before you actually get good at it. You have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with feeling like you're not good at it in order to get better at it, because you have to continue trying in order for you to actually get good at it. And that beginning time where you feel like you're not really good at it and you're just kind of wasting your time or going through the motions, all of that stuff is important in the long run, because it all teaches you all the things you need to know about yourself, about your mind, about your tendencies, about your weaknesses, about your strengths. All of that stuff you can learn from your efforts in improving your meditation game. But the most important factor is that you have to stick with it, because if you quit or only do it once a month or something like that, you're not going to actually learn how to do it, learn how to get better at it, and be able to reap those benefits. So some important things to know before you start or as you're starting to learn how to meditate and get better at your meditation game. Really get into your focus on your breathing. Feel the inhale, feel the exhale. Pay attention to it. Feel how the breath feels coming into you, and focus all of your energy, all of your attention on that. When you are focusing your attention on your breathing, it's virtually impossible to think of anything else. That doesn't mean that you still might not get some little intrusive thoughts that try and pop into your mind from time to time, or all the time when you're first starting out, or when your mind is really stressed, or any of that stuff. We'll get to all of that. But the point is, focusing on your breath will help you so much. And no, it's not some magic thing. You don't just focus on your breath and immediately you're good at meditating. But that is a great first place to start. You sit down, you get yourself all settled, and you start by breathing. When you're first starting out, and also once you're good at meditation, it can be pretty normal to kind of just sit there and feel like, why can't I get into this meditation? Why can't I get into this peaceful Zen area that everyone talks about? That is normal. And if you think there's something wrong with you because of that, you're already setting yourself up for failure. Know that it is very common, especially at the beginning, but also once you're experienced, to sit there and be waiting for it to happen. That's not the goal, to sit there and kind of wait for it, but it is normal to have times where you sit down and meditate and feel like it's not really going that well. That is normal, and that is something that all of us experience. So knowing that you're not broken for feeling that way is another important aspect. So going back to the point about quieting your thoughts, the goal is not to completely quiet your mind. If that happens, awesome, and that's great, and that's a wonderful place to be. It feels incredible. But the goal is not always to silence your mind. And when you go into it thinking, I have to silence all these thoughts that are racing through my head, it can feel pretty overwhelming. So instead of thinking about silencing your mind or quieting your thoughts, think about guiding your thoughts. Again, this goes back to focusing on your breathing. You're guiding your thoughts to focus on your breathing. Once you get your breathing pattern down, then you can go any direction of what your goal of the meditation is There are different types of visualization meditations or stress relieving meditations or energy vibration raising meditations, all of that kind of stuff. And you can guide your thoughts in accordance with what the goal of the meditation is. This is where guided meditations come in really handy, especially when you're new at meditation, but I still use them and I've been meditating for years now. So guided meditations are not just something you can only use at the beginning. I have a couple, I guess, but one main one that I use, and I love it. It gets me in the zone really quick. I know what to expect, and I really enjoy it. But guided meditations are a very useful tool in the meditation world. So don't feel like there's anything wrong with you if you need to or want to use those. When you are searching for a guided meditation to use, they are not all created equal. And you will see that pretty quickly once you start looking into them, that there are many different kinds of guided meditations, different types and styles of guided meditations, but different voices, different sounds, different breathing techniques that they have you follow, so many different variations that it would be highly unlikely that the first one that you pick is the one that you'll use forever. What I strongly recommend is before you sit down to actually meditate, spending some time looking for one that you enjoy. Because what you don't want is to get 2 minutes into your meditation and then hear this dinging noise that keeps going off every 5 seconds that's driving you nuts. You won't be able to focus on anything. It's going to drive you nuts. It's going to frustrate you. It's going to annoy you. And you're not going to get anything out of that meditation because all you're going to be focused on is that annoying noise that you keep hearing. So listening through a couple different or several different guided meditations until you find one that you're like, oh, I like this voice. I like the tempo. I like the length. I like the goal of the meditation. I like the sounds, all of that stuff. Listen to as many as you need to find the one or a couple that you really enjoy. I will link a couple of my favorite guided meditations down below in the caption. And then if you come across any that you really enjoy, share them in the comments. That way other people can see and try out different ones. So you're ready to meditate. You've done all the research, found your guided meditation. What next? Step 1. Setting up your environment. There are a few things that I would consider requirements for meditating, and we're going to talk about them now. Know that you're going to need to carve out between 15 and 30 minutes of undisrupted, quiet time for just you. It could be in your bedroom, it can be in your office. You also want to make sure that you're wearing comfortable clothes, that you're in a comfortable chair, that you're not too cold, not too warm. There's not, something tickling your foot, all of that stuff. They make different types of pillows and stuff that you can sit on to meditate. You can use a pillow to prop yourself up on. You can sit up against a wall. Whatever you end up finding as your most comfortable position, you want it to be something that you can sit in for that 15 to 30 minute duration of time and be comfortable the whole time. You don't want to have to adjust too much. Adjusting a little bit is not a problem, but you don't want to have to adjust over and over again because something is hurting, because that's going to distract you from the meditation. And again, that is defeating the purpose. So in addition to physically being comfortable, you also want to go into your meditation with patience and grace for yourself. Again, going back to what we talked about at the beginning of this video, knowing that you're not going to be good right from the beginning. You have to keep trying in order for you to get good at it one day. And knowing that it's going to take some time, but it will be worth it. So those things I would consider requirements. The next couple things are strong recommendations. Again, to each their own. You're going to find your things that you really enjoy the most or you feel are the most important. But these are things that I strongly recommend in addition to the required items. All right, so the first thing is headphones. I prefer to use headphones even when I'm not following a guided meditation or using music, because I find that it helps kind of block out the extra sound, like the extra environmental noise. So I like to use headphones regardless. I just put them in my ears and either turn on music, turn on a guided meditation, or just let them sit there in my ears because it kind of muffles the external noises that can happen. Creaks in the floors, the heater turning on, that kind of stuff. Any of that kind of stuff can distract you. And so minimizing the potential distractions is a key part of meditation. A meditation pillow is something that you could look at investing in. They make all different kinds, but you can look at getting one of those if you want to. I would recommend maybe trying it without or using one of your own pillows. And then if you decide that you want to make the investment and buy one, go ahead and try it out. If you're not using music or guided meditation, maybe considering some sort of sound machine to block out any extra noises, dogs barking, stuff like that. Again, this is just optional, but something that I would recommend if it applied to you. A little lock to put on your door, a lock from the inside, obviously, so that nobody can walk in and disturb you. Because what's really frustrating, you get into a really good vibe in your meditation and then someone walks in. That's a little frustrating. Usually you can just get back into it, but sometimes you can't. But anyways, having a little lock on the door, sound machine, that kind of stuff to minimize the risk for disruptions is beneficial. A little eye mask, like a sleeping mask or something like that could be helpful. You could also use incense to burn or a candle to burn if you like the scent of that, if it helps calm you. And then the last thing, and this is something that is not necessary, but again, highly recommended, a little journal to write in, especially when you're first getting started with meditation, a journal to write in directly after your meditation so that you can write down, this is what I did, this is what I tried this time, it worked really good, it didn't work really good, this is what I want to try next time, or these are ideas I have for next time, stuff like that. So you can keep little notes of each experience and how it's going for you. All right, so timing your meditation. There are a couple different times in the day, the morning and the evening, that are really popular for meditation. That being said, it is most important to find what time works best for you. Personally, I meditate in the morning. I have found through many trials and errors that during the middle of the day or before bed do not work for me. The middle of the day, my brain is already awake. There's a lot going on in there. It's a lot harder for me to quiet my mind or stop thinking about all the things that I'm in the middle of doing or the things that I need to do. It's a lot harder for me to focus on my meditation in the middle of the day. And before bed, I fall asleep. I have tried it so many times. My husband loves meditating before bed because he's a night owl. The second I lay down, I'm out. So naturally, meditating at that time would not work very good. But right away in the morning, I love doing my meditations. I usually drink my coffee first, get myself nice and woken up, put some water on my face, and then sit down to meditate. And that works really well for me. But finding what time of the day works best for you is a majorly important aspect of getting the most out of your meditation. As far as the length of your meditation, this is highly dependent on what your goals are or what your tolerance is, I guess. At the beginning, I strongly recommend starting very small, 5 minutes, because when you sit down to meditate and you've never done it before, or you've only done it a couple times, or your experience with it has not been very good, 5 minutes is a long time. So don't give yourself too much and end up being frustrated or bored or feeling like you're failing. Start small, start with 5 minutes, set a little timer or whatever, and build on that. As you get better, as you get more experienced, as you want to go longer, build on it. If you're following a guided meditation, it's a little bit easier because you just pick one that the time frame fits with what you want. Starting short when you're early in your meditation journey and building on that as you go. There are some hour-long meditations, if that's something that you desire to get into. I usually stick around 15 to 20 minutes. Step 2. Your mindset. This arguably is the most important thing because without that, none of it matters. For the 15th time so far in this video, knowing that it's going to take some time to get good at it, but also each time when you sit down to meditate, it's going to take a little bit of time to get into it. If you sit down and in 2 minutes, you're not in it and you give up, that is not the right mindset. Sometimes it takes me a few minutes. Sometimes it takes me 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes me the whole time that I'm sitting down to meditate to feel like I really got into it. That's okay. Knowing that it takes patience and grace and understanding, but knowing that it's worth it, all factor into your mindset. The other thing to mention along these lines is that your mind is naturally very loud. When you sit down to try and focus your thoughts, it's going to feel like there's a lot going on. It's going to feel like almost like chatter. Lots of thoughts, partial thoughts, horrible thoughts, intrusive thoughts, things here. That is why focusing on your breathing and focusing all your attention on your breathing is so important, because your mind is naturally very loud. So it's going to feel like there's a lot going on. If you sit down and think, oh my gosh, there's too much going on, I can't do this, you're already setting yourself up for failure. Knowing that those loud thoughts that are just kind of there is normal, but they will fade away if you sit there and give it the time that it needs. All right, so step 3, your first time. Meditating, of course. So you have all of your things ready. You're comfortable. You got your right clothes on. You got your headphones. You got your pillow. Everything's set. You sit down and you're ready to go. Now what? You put your music on, you put your guided meditation on, or nothing, and you sit there, and again, you're focusing on your breathing. Any thoughts that kind of pop into your head, you're almost like telling them, nope, not right now. That's kind of how I see it in my head. When I'm meditating, thoughts will try to come in, and you can say, no, not right now. It doesn't have to be in words like that, but the attention that you give them is, no, not right now. I'm focusing on my breathing. I'm meditating right now, not right now. And nothing that pops into your head is going to be urgent enough that you have to do it immediately. I mean, I guess, okay, if you left the boiling pot of water on the stove and you forgot to turn it off, please go shut it off. If that's what pops into your head at the exact moment that you're sitting down to meditate, go shut it off and come back. Don't burn your house down. But my point is, very rarely are there things that are going to pop into your head, intrusive thoughts that are going to pop into your head that are going to be so urgent that you have to give them attention right now. Tell them not right now. Leave a message. I'll be back home later. That kind of thing. And focus, refocus back on your breathing. That is pretty much what you're doing the whole time. And then eventually, as long as you stick with it long enough, there will be a time that you sit down and meditate, and it almost feels like how I would describe it, like your whole body goes numb. Like your body goes numb, like your mind goes numb, almost a floating sensation. That to me was my first experience with a real, true, deep meditation. Everyone can feel a little bit different. If you've had a true deep meditation, let me know in the comments what it felt like for you. But that is what it felt like for me. That's what it feels like for me when I get into a really good flow. Not every time is like that. Sometimes I just sit there and focus on my breathing and let my mind kind of calm down. And that's okay as well. That's still not wasted time. That's still not wasted energy. You're still doing something good. But when you get into a really, really good meditation, there's nothing like that. It feels wonderful on all aspects. It feels wonderful physically, for your mind, emotionally. You might start crying. You might smile with no intention to do so. Your face might just smile. It is a wonderful experience. But to get to that place, you have to keep trying, and you have to get your first time in and keep going. So on that note, step 4 is after your first time, now what? And the simple answer is just keep going. The frequency at which you set out to meditate is dependent on your goals and your lifestyle. You can try it every day. It can be a twice a week thing. But what I will say is the more frequent that you do it, at least at the beginning, the quicker you'll get good at it. I mean, obviously, the more that you do it, the better you'll get at it. So if you say for the next month, I'm going to meditate once a day, every day, or 5 times a week or something like that, that will expedite how quickly you get good at it. That doesn't mean that at the end of that 30 days, you're going to be a pro at it. But that means you're going to be a heck of a lot better than you were on day 1. And that also means that you're going to be a heck of a lot better than you would be if you did it every other day or once a week. If you do it every day for 30 days, you're going to get much better during that time period. So the 5th and final step that we're going to talk about is continuing until it feels right. This goes right in line with the last couple, but continuing until it feels right and then continuing after that. Because if you do it until you're good at it, until you feel good at it, and then you stop, what's the point in that? You need to keep doing it. It's just like exercise. You don't exercise until you get to a certain point. You don't hit your first PR and then stop. You take that as a win. Awesome. But you keep going so that you can continue to hit more PRs, so that you can continue to progress along your fitness journey. Your meditation journey is no different. Once you get good at it, once you get into your first real good meditation, keep going. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to hold it longer, because that feeling that I described before, that kind of full body, mind numbness that happens, holding on to that feeling is a challenge in itself, because what you can expect, this has happened to me many times, is you get to that point and then a thought comes in. And then a thought comes in and you have to block it back out. You say, nope, I'm focusing. And you have to get yourself back there. Or what happened to me a lot at the beginning, I would get to that point and I'd freak myself out. I would get there and I would freak myself out because it was a change in my physical sensation. So it would freak me out and I would get myself out of it. Well, that's silly. When I look back, I'm like, why did you do that? But that is a natural thing. It's a different sensation that you're used to. So knowing that it is a a game of constant progression. You're not going to get good and then just be good. You can continually get better. I'm not as good as a lot of people out there. I'm a lot better than I used to be, but I'm nowhere near where I want to be. The other thing is, if you have tried all of these things, been trying to get good at meditation for years or months or whatever, and you've followed all the tips and you're still not good at it, reach out to a coach. Reach out to a coach for help, like myself. You might not know what you're doing wrong, or you might need to hear that you're really not doing anything wrong and you just need to give it more time. Whatever the case is for you, you don't know what you don't know. So if you've been trying for a while and you haven't had your breakthrough yet, reach out to a coach. So just a couple other things I'm going to mention, and then we'll wrap this up. It is really important to challenge yourself to not be afraid of your thoughts, because when you're setting out on your journey to kind of get to know your inner self a bit more, and meditation, self-reflection, and all of that, it is pretty common and normal to feel afraid of what's in your mind, because a lot of those intrusive thoughts that we can get are kind of scary. I have read so many people talking about the intrusive thoughts that they have and how they thought that they were weird or broken, or there was something wrong with them for having some crazy intrusive thoughts about their loved ones getting hurt or doing something crazy and not being able to control themselves and stuff like that. It is normal to have really unhinged intrusive thoughts, but the point is to know that that does not define you. That does not mean that any of that stuff is going to happen. You don't have to be afraid of those thoughts. But if you give into those thoughts and you let yourself get anxious or afraid, then they're winning. You're losing to your intrusive thoughts. You can have those and also have your blinders up and not give in to those thoughts. So learning how to not be afraid of your thoughts, learning how to know that just because you have a thought doesn't mean it's real, and that you might have thoughts of things from your past, but that doesn't mean it's happening right now. So knowing that you are in control, you really are in control, even though it might not feel like it, sometimes you really are in control, and you can guide your thoughts however you want to for what's best for yourself. And on that note, if you ever have any thoughts about wanting to harm yourself or harm someone else, or not wanting to be here anymore, please reach out for help. When you are starting your journey of looking inward more, a lot of times some difficult and painful sensations or emotions or memories can come up to the surface, and dealing with those things can be difficult. So if you ever feel yourself struggling mentally, reach out for help, call 911, whatever you need to do in that moment to protect yourself. So if you have any other questions about meditation, I am an open book. I would love to help. If you want to type your questions down in the comments, I would love to have a conversation about it. If you want to reach out to me personally, my Instagram is linked below as well. I would love to guide you along your meditation journey. I would love to help you however you need. So if any of this resonated and you want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next video. Bye guys.